You notice a small crack in the wall. A few weeks later, the crack gets wider, then the plaster starts sounding hollow when you tap it. Eventually, a piece breaks away and falls to the floor. But why does this happen? Plaster is meant to stay attached for many years. When it falls off, the problem usually started underneath the surface long before the damage became visible. The first major cause is poor wall preparation. Plaster needs a clean and solid surface to stick to. If the wall is covered with dust, grease, loose paint, wallpaper glue, or weak old plaster, the new layer may not attach to the actual wall. It may only stick to the dirt or loose material on top. At first, the wall can still look smooth and finished, but over time, the weight of the plaster pulls against that weak connection. Cracks appear, hollow areas form, and pieces can eventually fall away. Another common problem is that the wall absorbs water too quickly. Fresh plaster contains water, which keeps it soft while it is being applied. Very dry brick or concrete can pull this water out too fast. When that happens, the plaster starts drying before it has had enough time to properly grip the wall. It is similar to glue drying before two surfaces are pressed together. To prevent this, the wall may need to be lightly dampened or treated with a bonding product before plastering. The surface can also be too smooth. Plaster sticks more easily to rough brick because there are many tiny gaps and uneven areas for it to grip. But smooth concrete, glossy paint, or sealed walls give it very little to hold on to. A special primer or bonding layer is often needed to create a better surface. Moisture is another major cause of plaster failure. Water can enter through a leaking pipe, a damaged roof, an outside wall, or from damp rising through the building. Once moisture gets behind the plaster, it can weaken the bond and make the material soft or crumbly. You may also notice bubbling paint, dark stains, or a musty smell. Simply covering the damaged area with new plaster will not solve the problem. The source of the moisture must be found and repaired first. Otherwise, the new plaster may fail in exactly the same way. Incorrect mixing can also create weak plaster. If too much water is added, the mixture becomes thin and easy to spread, but it may dry weaker. If too little water is used, the plaster may be difficult to apply and may not make full contact with the wall. Dirty buckets, old plaster, or contaminated tools can also make the fresh mixture harden too quickly. Plaster can also fall off when it is applied too thickly in one layer. A thick coat is heavy and may dry unevenly. The outside can harden while the inside remains wet. As the plaster dries, it shrinks slightly. If the layer is too thick, this can create cracks and pull the plaster away from the wall. Deep areas should normally be built up in suitable layers rather than filled with one heavy coat. Drying conditions matter as well. Pointing a strong heater directly at fresh plaster may seem like a good way to save time, but it can cause the surface to dry too quickly. Fast drying can lead to cracking and poor bonding. Plaster normally dries best at a steady temperature with gentle ventilation. Movement inside the building can also cause damage. Walls expand and contract slightly as temperatures change. Wooden frames can move, floors can flex, and new buildings can settle. Plaster is hard, so it does not handle movement very well. This is why cracks often appear around doors, windows, corners, and places where two different materials meet. One warning sign of loose plaster is a hollow sound. Firm plaster usually sounds solid when gently tapped. Loose plaster can sound empty or drum-like because a gap has formed behind it. Other signs include bulging, spreading cracks, damp marks, flaking paint, and small pieces breaking away. So how is the problem repaired? Loose material normally has to be removed until a firm section is reached. The wall is then cleaned and prepared properly. Any leaks or damp problems must be fixed before new plaster is applied. The wall may also need a primer, bonding product, mesh, or more than one coat, depending on the cause of the damage. The most important lesson is that plaster usually does not fall off for no reason. It loses its grip because the surface was dirty, too smooth, too dry, damp, badly prepared, or because the plaster was mixed, applied, or dried incorrectly. A smooth finish may be what we see, but the real strength of plaster comes from the connection hidden underneath.